Hello and welcome to Aurei Plays Factorio Seablock. This is episode 200, and to celebrate that, I decided I want to talk a little bit about how I tackle like starting projects and deciding what I'm gonna what I'm gonna do, like even up to deciding what games I want to play in my free time. Um, and it basically comes down to mainly am I enjoying it, right? So if I'm not enjoying it, I'm not actually gonna like go on. And I've fallen into this trap before, and in the end, like if you're not enjoying what you're doing, then especially if it's like gaming, you just want to call it quits, right? And there's way too many people who yeah, don't realize that you can actually do that, right? There's sometimes you want to complete something for the sake of completing it, but I I very much am of the school to realize, like, if something's meant to be fun, then you want to um, keep an eye on that. Make sure that you are actually still enjoying it. And if you're not, then that's totally fine, and you can just let it go and return back to it later, right? This is something that you'll often see, especially if you like go hard on some hobby or a game. Like you sort of you might not really like burn out, but it's yeah, sometimes you lose sight of why you wanted to do it in the first place, right? And this is something that I keep in mind for basically everything I do, and I've done it with streaming as well, right? I've on my YouTube channel I have a couple series that I've stopped, or I'm still like I have on the backlog to maybe return to someday. But that's fine, right? There's no one who's gonna. Well, okay, there might be people who maybe would like to continue something, but yeah, in the end, like if you're not feeling it, then it's not gonna be enjoyable uh, for you, right? And that's always um, this. Yeah, that's always the most important part. Um, and it actually kind of takes courage to sort of realize that, right? So you can just you can do a lot of stuff, like you can like starting stuff and is sometimes easy, not always, but ending it is a very very conscious decision that you have to say, okay, um, this is no longer worth my time. And especially if you've gotten into a rhythm with something, it's very tough to realize that, hey, this thing I used to do is no longer worth my time. um, and that's like it can be very hard to actually acknowledge that and say, hey, like, hey, I've changed, right? This is something you can have with hobbies as well, like especially if you've done something long enough that you identify it as a part of yourself. Like I've had this with chess, right? So I used to play chess a lot when I was younger, like competitively as well. Um, and at some point, I wasn't feeling it anymore, right? But it still took me a long time to actually realize, like, I don't want to actively do this as a hobby anymore. And lately I've returned to it, right? That's what you can do in that case. But it takes something to realize that um, you're you've changed as a person, or the reasons why you started doing something are no longer there. And that's really something that you have to acknowledge then, right? And you have to face it and say, okay, I'm I'm calling it quits. And and you might leave something behind doing that, right? Maybe some friends that you shared that hobby with, but you don't see much outside of that, stuff like that. And if that's holding you back, then there's nothing holding keeping you from doing something about that, right? You can make sure that that doesn't happen if that's something that prevents you from stopping something that you no longer enjoy. But yeah, so that's basically. It took me a long time to actually realize this, and now I try to live by it. I also try to prevent the burnout sometimes in the first place, right? Sometimes you're really enjoying it, but you know, like if you space it out a little bit, that like if you go hard on it, you know that at some point you're gonna be sick of it, and if you space it out a little bit, it will last longer. You'll still enjoy it as much, maybe even more, right? Like this is a little bit to sort of what you hear in showbiz, right? Always keep them wanting more, and that's or always leave them wanting more. That's it actually. Um, but yeah, that's basically a very easy way to space it out, right? I played Red Dead Redemption lately in my just off stream, and like this is a game that I could have gone hard on and just rushed out in, well, not even a weekend. It's a pretty long game, but basically just knowing that if I take it easy and make sure that if I don't enjoy it, I'm putting it back, then that also means that when I am playing it, I'm like getting the full value out of it, and that is worth a lot to me. Um, and as it turns out with Red Dead, like I at the end I did, well, not rush to stuff, but not take it as slow as I was in the beginning, like not doing all the side quests and stuff. Um, but still, like because I took it at a reasonable pace, it was enjoyable for me for a long time, and I've now finished the main storyline. I haven't really continued to do side quests or something, but it's that's okay, right? I wanna get back to it when I feel like it, and that's in the end the most important part. Yeah, like acknowledging, hey, it's okay, not to not to continue it if you don't want to. So this is one side of the coin, right? And so this is about when to call something quits, and but the other side is when to start something, right? When how and on this I have a particular way of working that works so well for me in general, and like for a lot of stuff that I do, I actually like I take a long time to get started. Uh, and this is not so in doing so I don't tend to spend a lot of time thinking about stuff and not so much um, preparing, right? There's also people who, like, if they would want to stream, they would first figure, oh, I need a good camera and a good setup and everything, and then only then I can start streaming. Which, like, I also do a little bit of that, but most of my prep time basically is spent thinking about stuff, thinking what do I want to get out of it, what do I think are good ideas, and basically this happens with mostly programming projects, right? This is something that also allows for this, like thinking a lot out in advance and making sure that you know where you're going. Let's see. I actually don't need these guys. And let's make sure we're gonna. Yeah, we don't need to do this here per se. No. So we're gonna need at least Geolite, Sterilite, and money. Okay. So basically, I think about it a lot, right? I just I don't focus on it, but it's like my best ideas are ones that have been in my head for a while, and I've thought about like what do I want to do, and then I just like once I'm well, not certain, but I have a pretty good idea, like what I want out of it, what I want to get, and uh, why I want to do it, for example, or what my philosophy is, or basically how I want to position something. That's and once I figure that out, then it's go time. And that's something I don't know. It works well for me, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. Right? I see a lot of people who do this, and they get stuck in the preparation phase, which is okay, but you should always keep in mind that preparation isn't everything, right? You should prepare essentials, but not the stuff that's not strictly necessary. Because if you start preparing the stuff that isn't really necessary, then yeah, um, you're just losing out on experience that you could have had, and maybe your preparations aren't actually as valuable as you think they are, and basically there's only one way to find that out, and that is to actually try it. So that's my basically my main thoughts on like when to start something, right? You need to be uh, sort of sure that you're doing stuff for the right reasons, or that you know what your plan is, but you don't need to be 100% prepared for all the aspects and all the avenues. Like sometimes 80% or 70% preparation is actually enough, and that's also kind of it's I guess it's kind of hard to acknowledge that, right? Not or it sometimes feels like you're jumping into something and you don't quite know what, right? But it's a valid feeling, but it's something to keep in mind, right? You don't necessarily know what's gonna happen, and being fine with that is half of the battle. Yeah, that's in general a little bit about my philosophy about starting and getting getting into something, getting out of something. So yeah, that's it's basically, this is not stuff that I live by per se, but it's stuff that um, that I think is very helpful to me as sort of a guidance in whether I want to put my time and energy into something, or whether I need to like do something different and change it up, right? Um, yeah, and that being said, like the reason you're looking at episode 200 of this series is that I am really enjoying it. Like, uh, I think this is one of the best Factorio experiences for me personally, because it's like there's not much pressure. It's interesting engineering wise, but it's yeah, it's just an easygoing game, and there's no rush. So that's a big part of why I managed to spend like yeah, basically nearly 100 hours up until now playing this game, and talking to you guys about it. And yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube especially, like thank you for watching this. I would love to hear like, for one, if you've watched this whole series up until some point, or if you dropped in at some point. So feel free to leave a comment if you want to share that. If you want to hear about something else, just hear me ramble about stuff, like feel free to suggest topics. I'm looking to do more of these kinds of episodes where I just talk about not so much Factorio related stuff, but more tangents and yeah, it doesn't all have to be as heavy as life philosophy, but it's like there's a couple of topics that I have very particular thoughts about, right? Education is actually one of them, but there's learning is also always interesting to me. Like it's more about it's about a lot of topics that I actually enjoy seem to be about sort of self-development, but really in the more concrete, practical sense, right? So really actionable stuff that I generally have not acted upon, like so much knowingly, as more that it's stuff that I got to be doing, figured out that it worked, and then went for it. Let's see. I want some of these guys. And we're gonna craft a couple more. One. And we'll need some more titanium plates. How's this? I guess we're gonna need some more cement. Yeah. I think that's it for the non-Factorio talk for this time. In any case, like if you managed to get to this episode, thanks. I hope you're enjoying it a lot, and yeah, leave a comment if you have something you want to hear me speak about in some later episodes. Yeah, let's go grab some titanium. I hope the box is still there. If not, yeah, it is. Awesome. Yeah, there we go. We can craft one more then. So I think actually, yeah, okay, this might. We don't actually need to craft 6 of them. Like 3 is enough, and then I just need to reserve the space for the rest. So let's grab a little bit of belt as well, and then I think we'll be good. We'll also need one of these guys. We have a couple of those, so that's good. If we look at our resource streams, like here it looks a little bit thin, but if we look over here, a lot of it is kind of okay. It could be better, but yeah, if we look at our research, like we're not the thing is that we're not consuming purple yet. We do also just want to check out how it is going with purple, if we're actually getting packs, because if we're not getting packs at all, then I do want to check out why that is. If we just have some packs in the backlog, then I'm totally good with it, because I don't think we have any yet. So that's kind of, oh, okay, so it's probably, let's see, I did not connect some of these. Let's see, this should be fine then. It's not many, but there's a couple down there, so that's good. Yeah, that's gonna be perfectly fine. And the purple packs are gonna be, like, it's gonna be a little bit intense, and I think I'm just gonna backlog a lot of them until we manage to get the robot stuff going, and then we can get started on the robot stuff, and that's, yeah, then I'm just gonna claim basically all this space and just go ham with robots probably. Though I always do underestimate like how difficult it is to actually get throughput with them. But if we're looking at this, like if we're a little bit careful, we probably should be able to get a lot of stuff done there. Yeah, so this is actually not, oh, I should have brought my landfill, shouldn't I? Should have, yeah. Yeah, and we're gonna be eaten by worms. Yeah, okay. Let's not do that. Yeah. So I actually am gonna go ahead and go grab some more landfill. Hopefully we have enough down here, but if not, I'm gonna grab it from the backlog. if we look at our resource streams, like there's some stuff that we probably want to scale up, like the bobmonium chunks, right? That looks pretty clear. But other than that, I'm not worried about most of it. Let's see, this is looking fine. That's gonna backlog at some point though. But we can vent the water if we need to. How's yeah, I probably should be doing some. Let's see, how should I want to do some of this? I mean, we could. We need electric engines for that, and I haven't built those. That's probably the issue, or that's why I haven't really done anything about it. Okay, that's a decent amount of landfill. Yeah, let's see. We have some exoskeletons, night vision, personal batteries. Yeah, so basically we could easily craft it if we got the electric motors, engines, which should be fairly doable. But let's see, it should be here probably. Yeah, so it's just iron, steel. Yeah, a couple like green chips and lubricant. Yeah, that might be very much worth it actually. Let's go ahead and try that. We have the iron, we have the steel. We don't have that many chips, but we can grab a stack on the way down probably. Maybe not. The buffer's probably empty. So let's grab some from the belt. We have a little bit in the backlog here. Yeah, that should be good. Let's see, how many do we have? Yeah, plenty. We can dump a stack into electric engines. Because if we look at, let's see, if we look at you guys, then yeah, we need some engines for you. We need some engines for you. We need some batteries for you. Let's grab those. You can just grab a stack. That should be fine. We have robot attack drone frames. I don't really care about those. Yeah, we want some legs and we want these guys, which we can actually craft. Let's see. So yeah, this is gonna be 1.5 times the outputs. We probably want to get the next level battery as well then. Yeah, oh, those are kind of expensive, but yeah. Can we start? Yeah, let's do the research now. Yeah, night vision's gonna be okay. Let's see. So in order to get lubricants, lubricant. Yeah, it's base mineral oil and residual oil, which we've gotta get from these guys, right? Somewhere over here. So let's just figure out. Actually, we have some base mineral oil over here with an overflow valve, so that's okay. And then the residual stuff should come from these guys, right? Yeah. Okay. So let's do an overflow valve here. Overflow valve, and put the flare stack back down. And then we're gonna bring some of that over like this and just craft it in a chemical plant. Let's see. we can make a lubricant. Okay, that's exactly the wrong way around, but that's fine. We're just gonna like do this in a temporary way. Okay. I think we need. Probably still can't make the engines by hand, right? Nope. Okay. So let's get. This needs 2. So let's just craft 2 of those. And I'd like to cut this episode here. So let's continue with this next time. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to comment if you have any feedback. Thanks! If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps people like you find it too. Thanks!